All right, we have UConn and Purdue in the national championship. This could be one of the best national championships we've seen in a long time. Had to get my thoughts out there. It's past my bedtime, but I had to share my thoughts. Let's start with the coaches. Instead of the battle of the giants between Klingon and Edey, let's start with the coaches. Hurley and Painter, two of the best coaches in college basketball. Fantastic coaches. I find Dan Hurley a little obnoxious on the sidelines, but there's no denying the man can coach. His teams average less than 10 turnovers per game. He has the most efficient offense in college basketball. And they're averaging 80 plus points per game while being 306 in the country in possessions per game. That is nutty. They're 21st in the country in points scored per game while playing a pretty slow tempo. While Purdue, on the other side, plays a little bit faster. They're 191st in the country in possessions per game, and they have the fourth most efficient offense. While defensively, UConn has the sixth most efficient defense, and Purdue has the 51st. And talking about weaknesses from Purdue, starting with them, and you can't even really say this is a consistent weakness, but sometimes Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith in the past have struggled with lengthy athletic guards who can D up and play physical out on the perimeter. And I think Castle and Newton fit that description. But as I say that, I saw Fletcher Lawyer almost, I think he put up 30 against Arizona earlier this year. And him and Braden Smith torched Arizona. And they're obviously filled with lengthy athletic physical guards. So sometimes in the past, I was more last year they struggled with that. I think this year they have a new mindset. They're uber confident. And Connecticut fans, I'm going to warn you about Fletcher Lawyer. I enjoy Fletcher Lawyer, but the man is known to accentuate some fouls. He weaponizes his physical weakness, his physical limitations. He weaponizes that. He'll end up on the floor. You'll get pushed around, and then he'll end up at the free throw line. So I'm forewarning you. Fletcher Lawyer is really skilled. Can shoot, put the ball on the floor. Great player, but he knows his weaknesses and he turns it into a strength, which I find really impressive. But getting to the battle of the giants, we have Klingon and Edey. And Klingon is better than I thought he was. He's obviously a lottery pick. I've known that for a while, but this tournament run has been impressive. The way just his presence. I mean, he's obviously blocking a lot of shots, but his presence just like what he did to Illinois. Like if he was within 10 feet, they were going to miss the layup. But in Alabama, a lot of those players were in the wrong place at the wrong time trying to challenge Klingon. Klingon was everywhere, pinning that the ball against the backboard like it was a toy hoop. But I think he's probably the best guy in college basketball you can put on Zach Edey, but I still think Zach Edey's going to do Zach Edey. I think Zach Edey's going to get his, but the blessing is you can go one-on-one coverage. Where other teams have to uber dig down or they have to double, and then Edey can kick it out to the best or second best three-point shooting team now. They're the best three-point shooting team for most of the season percentage-wise, but they're now second in the country at 40.6%. So not having to double him is a total blessing. I still think Edey is the best player in college basketball. He's going to get his. Maybe not as much as he normally does, but he's not going to be stopped. And I'm looking at this game, and I hear people talking about UConn, and they've been dominant in the tournament the last 2 years. They've been super impressive. But let's not act like they're the 14-15 Kentucky squad. They had 4 lottery picks, the first pick of the draft. I mean, they're really talented. They're going to have 2 top 15 picks, probably 2 guys picked in the second round. But they're not impossible to beat for Purdue. I think people are sleeping on Purdue far too much. The best player in college basketball, surrounded by the best shooters in college basketball. I would not be surprised if Purdue wins this. And I'm actually going to pick Purdue to win. And if they can get hot from 3, they can easily beat UConn. And you know what? They can slop it up. They can muck it up. We saw them beat a really good Tennessee team. They beat a Tennessee team when they weren't hitting from 3 because Edey put up 40 points. I think Purdue is going to shock the world, and I think they're going to get the dub. UConn is damn good. They're one of the best teams we've seen since 2010. They're definitely a top 10 team that we've seen since 2010, but they're not impossible to beat. They're not that 14-15 Kentucky squad. They're not that 11-12 Kentucky squad. And I'm not a Kentucky fan, but those are 2 of the teams that come to mind. Or 2021 Baylor or 17-18 Villanova. They're not that, in my opinion. They're very close. Those teams are loaded with NBA talent. So, yeah, I'm going to pick – actually, come to think of it, I think UConn is a little bit more talent than Baylor, NBA talent. But Villanova in 17-18 definitely have more NBA talent than this UConn team. But anyways, getting back to my predictions, I'm going to pick Purdue. I'm picking Matt Painter to get his first national championship and to humble Dan Hurley. Boiler up, baby. Purdue is going to get this done. And thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If this is your first video with me, make sure to like and subscribe for more college basketball content. I'll be pivoting to some other stuff in this offseason. I'll be playing some one-on-one videos, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for sticking around this season, and I'll see you next time.